Hey, it's Lex and Stacey, Threesome Podcast number 146. What is up, Stacey?
Hi, how are you?
Good. So,
I'm good.
What do you got in the background there?
It's a kitten.
So is this the
Did you
one?
hear her?
Is this the one you? And just every once in a while, is this the one you had last time we spoke? That was like.
I've had her since right before Christmas. She showed up at my house. She was a stray right before Christmas.
She sounds very sweet.
She's in my arms right now.
Yeah.
She's a snuggly kitty.
Oh man, that's cool. Yeah, right now our cat Caesar, he's on the other end of things, 17, and he's got the glossy eyes, and he can't even find the litter box, so we got to put puppy pads in the bathroom, so he can walk towards the light and do his best. I know, right? It's like, get good at this. One day it's going to be for realsies.
Go towards the light, Carol Ann. Go towards the light.
When you keep walking and you can't do anything about it, that's when you know it's the real one.
And you're not pissing yourself.
I've already made the jokes. So long time ago. So I got you a new nightlight, buddy.
Poor kitty.
Should be just like the one you're going to see soon.
Unless he was a bad kitty.
He's a good guy, man. He's so damn sweet and always has been. And it's just he doesn't have much time left. You can tell. And it breaks my heart. It really does. But, at the same time, every day I wake up and there's a little part of me that hopes he doesn't, that he just dies peacefully in his sleep. But it
doesn't happen. Just a year ago, my Jakey kitty was dying, and he was sitting on my lap. This was just horrible. He was sitting on my lap, and he stood up, and he tried moving from my lap over to the coffee table, which, like a healthy kitty can just kind of leap over.
Oh, yeah.
But he wasn't doing it. He was very wobbly and stuff. Yeah. And I was like, oh, baby. And so I kind of stand up. And when I stood up, he pissed all over me. And so I set him down on the ground and was just like, oh, I wasn't mad because I knew he didn't feel well and stuff, And I just set him down on the ground, and he was standing there, and he meowed, and he just fell over and literally died right there. And I did. I said, did you just die? I'm alone, talking. I was like, did you just die? And then I just started crying. I was like, no. So it was just the worst. So,
Yeah,
I don't think they fall. I don't think they die in their sleep as often as what you hope they do.
No, I'm just saying that's what I hope for. I know that's not going to be the case. I just wish it would go that way, peacefully in his sleep. No, nothing ever goes that smoothly for me. So no, I'm not expecting that at all.
When my big dog Jet, it was time to put him to sleep. First of all, he followed none of them. He was dying. He spent his last night laying in the kitchen, and I slept downstairs that night so that I could every so often roll him over so he wasn't uncomfortable, his paws falling asleep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just moving him so that he could be comfortable because he couldn't move because the vet was coming to our house in the morning. And in the morning, he's laying there, and again, he can't sleep or anything, or can't move, but when they're dying, and when people and animals die, they lose their appetite. But this dog, who was so food-driven his entire life,
I know.
He was drinking. He was drinking water. He died with several Polish sausages and cheese in his gut.
Well, I told you. I told you about Bart, who one day was jumping around like he had his whole life, and the next day he was just laying down and not moving. And when we took him in, he was riddled with cancer. I mean, everywhere. And we didn't know that 24 hours before that was the case. Their pain tolerance must be just sick.
Right. Well, Jet, when the vet gave him the shot, all of our any other animal I've ever put to sleep, went right then, within like a minute or two, 2 minutes tops. Jet, it took 50 minutes for the dog to die and 4 shots. The vet was mortified. She was like, I am so sorry. He just would not stop breathing and his heart wouldn't stop. And it was like, oh God, now are we doing the right thing? It was like, yeah, well, obviously he's not done yet.
Yeah, but when quality of life is gone, Caesar has no quality of life right now. I mean, if it was my cat, I probably would have taken him weeks ago and had a talk with a vet and said, here's the deal. He goes back and forth between food and bathroom, sleep, food, bathroom, sleep. I mean, what kind of life is this?
Actually, it sounds like a pretty good life.
Yeah, but you should be, completely aware it's going on if you're going to enjoy it. That's when you have no idea it's happening. It's no fun. When you're not saying "fuck you" to the boss, I'm not coming in and grabbing 8 more hours and not paying your rent. What the fuck fun is it? But I got another canine problem, Stacey. I think I touched on this last time we spoke, but we all of a sudden have an influx of coyotes in our neighborhood, in our urban neighborhood. And
well, watch out for the little dogs.
And yes, but I seem to be the only one concerned about it. Because Lisa's from Oklahoma. She's like, yeah, they're fucking coyotes. So what? And I'm like, well, so what? We've been here 6 years. This is the first time I'm seeing the motherfuckers, and now they're everywhere. I'm sorry, my deductive reasoning process is a little disturbed right now.
How, I guess, close are they? I mean, like when you wake up in the morning, do you have to shoo them off your vehicle to go to work?
Oh, no. You see them like in the grass. There's like some long grass by the park where you walk the dogs. You see them there. But, they've gone from never seeing them to seeing them every couple of days to seeing them every day to being a little more brave and a little more out. And the other night I'm walking Mookie, the small one, down the sidewalk. And I look up on this berm and there's this pretty large sized brown coyote just staring at me. And this is like right at
little
this
dog.
Is like
Yes,
right at
I would
dusk.
I would pick the dog up in your arms and walk away.
Yeah.
So your bigger dogs like Angus and stuff, they're not going to go after. But the little one, they're going to see as a snack. I mean, do you remember Jessica Simpson's that big story where she was walking her dog in one of the canyons there, and a coyote grabbed it like pretty much out from her hands and took off, and she never saw her dog again.
Did you see the guy that choked out the mountain lion?
What?
Did you see the guy that choked out the fucking mountain lion yesterday?
Yes, I saw that. It was like, good for you. But what else are you going to do?
You motherfucker, you ruined my run. Fucking runners.
I'm trying to keep my heartbeat up right now.
Now my Fitbit's not going to look like all the other days, you fucking asshole.
The anal retentive exerciser.
I know. So upset he choked the lion out. Dude, that's King of the Jungle, right? Fuck him. He pushed my heart rate too high.
I have in the last 2 weeks, and I finally bitched about it on one of the things, because you get all these posts on Facebook, all these suggested things, and all of a sudden it's animals dying.
Yes.
It's videos like lions dying.
Yes.
And it's like, and I finally just commented. I was like, why in the fuck is this showing up in my timeline? I don't want to see this. And then someone told me I was trash because I dared to suggest that, I didn't want to see this. And it's like, oh my God, this is, I log out of Facebook now.
Yeah.
I'm checking it every other day. It's great because if I don't get notifications on my phone, I don't think about it. And so I'm only checking it like every so often now. I'll do like one big check and then be done for like another 2 days.
I'm the same way.
Great.
I had a person come at me like that on pretty much the same thing. And I said, after I heard Mark Zuckerberg's description of Facebook in the movie The Social Network, I don't think I'm supposed to be seeing dying fucking animals on here. This is supposed to be a place where we can all meet and be social. So fuck you and your dead lions and leopards, all right?
There was one that was like people dying. It was
yeah, like faces of death shit. Yeah.
It was like all these people like on TV, and all of a sudden they start wobbling back and forth, and then they just keel over. Now, reading from the comments, someone said that all of the people that in the video that I saw, allegedly, and maybe they're just saying it to make people like me feel better, all of them were actually just fainting except for one. One person was actually dead. But it's still, I was just like, why is this happening? And I reported the dead lion one, and Facebook responded and said, we found nothing wrong with that. So. Oh
my God. Really?
Yeah. So I'll keep reporting.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah,
I
just don't know why.
So you don't think the coyotes will fuck with my big dogs?
Not your big dogs. Now, if you see like more than one of them, I would be concerned.
Well, there's two of them. That's all there are. It's the same two. Everybody sees two of them, and one's very small.
Probably a youngster, maybe.
I think I can choke that one out.
Well, as long as you got your Fitbit.
Yeah, well, I don't want to disturb my heart rate. It's actually my Apple Watch, but I'll do it. I'll do it if I get to kill something.
Do you think they have like covers for your Apple Watch, like so that withstands mountain lion claws?
I'll ask, but knowing Apple, they have it.
Probably,
and it's expensive.
Of course. I will only fit that particular one. So if you change, you have to get a whole new, thing. And
it's probably called iPussy or something like that.
So I was going to tell you this. This really just kind of made me laugh. I'm sure you won't find it as funny. When you were calling me, 2 days ago to ask if we wanted to record today?
Yes.
The cat is stuck on my back right now. She's climbing all over me.
Aren't they fun? Kill him.
So I'm with my mom, and Lex calls my cell phone. And so I'm like, well, I'm with my mom, so I reject. And a few minutes later, Lex calls again, and I reject again, and just, say to Mom, I'll call him back later when I get home. Which, of course, then Lex gave me shit for. But anyway, my mom is asking about you, she's just like, how is Lex? How are things? Da-da-da.
Uh-huh.
And, and I had the realization that, my mom's never met you. She's talked to you.
Yeah.
Because you guys had her on the air that one time a long time ago.
Right.
But, you are certainly someone in my life that she's been aware of for a good 2 decades.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And we were just talking, and I don't remember what she said, but I said, well, Mom, he's 60. And she goes, oh my God, are you kidding? She just flipped out. She's like, I had no idea he was that old. He's not even young enough to be like my kid. And I'm like,
sure I am, you little teenage whore. Sorry.
But I was like, it was just the weirdest reaction. She was just stunned that you were an old man, I guess. I don't know. She's an old woman, so.
I don't feel like an old man.
I don't think of you as. I still see you. See when I was on the show and it was, I knew you and everything. I was 27 and you were 40.
Yeah. Yeah,
and you'll always be 40 to me unless I see you.
And when I go to the grocery store, the chick cards me and I just laugh. I'm like, come on. For fuck's sake, why do you have to?
She wants the cock.
And she says, I have to card everyone. I said, even if they're 39 fucking years older than the legal age. And she says, you are not. And I said, yes, I am. She goes, no way.
Yeah, see, she wants the cock.
No, she's young. She didn't want my cock. She wants somebody's, but not mine. And,
she's all about Lexi.
She doesn't know Lexi. She doesn't know how fabulous I am, really. So she's
the Lexi Winky.
I mean, very few people besides you, Stacey, have any idea just how fucking fabulous I am.
And oddly, I've never had the Winky. So
nope.
We dodged that.
It's my rule. You work with me, you don't get it. You just don't.
He had to beat me off with a stick. Mm-hmm. I was humping his leg every day.
And just for lawyer purposes, it was a stick.
Let these straight mushroom bruises all over my face. Oh.
He's hitting me with a padded cane. What the fuck?
It was all velvety and smooth. It smelled so good.
But, it just, I go out of my way, not to look 60. I realize I'm not going to look 30, but I tried to involve myself in things and TV and movies and stuff like that where I can hold a conversation with somebody in their 40s and they'd have no idea. I try. Okay?
Right.
I go out of my way to make an effort. So
I've wondered that about me because I don't have kids. So like, for instance, I have never in my life watched a single episode of SpongeBob, but I don't think that I'm old.
No, and talking to you, one of the reasons I love talking to you is you haven't mailed it in. I mean,
not yet.
If you've ever, I've talked to people in their upper 30s, low 40s. They're like, I'm old now, fuck it, and they're like talking about TV shows that I feel I'm not old enough to watch yet.
Like Cagney and Lacey,
or that kind of shit. I mean, it's like
anything with Angela Lansbury.
Yeah, and anything with any name like Mabel, Angela, or anything like that, I stay the fuck away from. I am not ready to be that person yet. And it's really funny because I was talking on Facebook Live last night, and this guy goes, "Do you color your beard?" And I went, "No, genius. I'm almost 60. I don't have one single gray hair, and I think you're fucking stupid enough to believe it." Yes, I color my beard, dumb fuck.
Do you really?
Yes.
I thought I've seen it gray, though.
Oh, it does. When
I stalk you on Facebook.
It's too fucking hard to, do that all the time. I can't do it. So yeah.
Beware that you don't look like Billy Mays, because that was a bad...
Well, day one, I have to look like Billy Mays. And then when you let it go a week or two, then it gets into a sweet spot, and then it gets too gray, and then you got to start all over again. It's kind of the way it works.
No.
But I'm not afraid of gray hair. I just don't want to be Burl fucking Ives.
I can understand if you don't want to be Richard Gere or Ted Danson all white. But a grizzled man is very hot.
Yeah, I know. Listen, if I had a full head of gray hair, I'd let it go. I'd be Sam Elliott, But I don't have that.
Not a bad thing to be.
No, it's not a bad thing to be at all. But
you know who he's married to?
I have no idea.
I think it's Ally McGraw. My mom just told me this yesterday.
You know what blew my mind was I was watching, is it A Dog's Purpose that Dennis Quaid's in, where the dog goes through several lives? It starts out as his dog as a kid, and the dog goes through 5 or 6 different lives and then goes back to Dennis Quaid when he's, 60.
Right.
You seen that movie?
No, it sounds really depressing.
Well, actually, it's not. It's kind of nice. Because his original dog comes back as something close to his original dog after being a German Shepherd and, all kinds of different animals. But his high school love interest, I'm like, where the fuck have I seen her before? You know, and she's still to this day beautiful. And it hit me. It's Peggy Lipton. That's Quincy Jones' wife, better known as Peggy on the Mod Squad.
Oh.
Yeah.
She was not married to Sam Elliott. Now I have to look up Sam Elliott.
No, she was married and still is married to Quincy Jones, and their daughter is the girl in The Office.
Rashida.
Rashida, yeah. That's her daughter, who is a perfect mix of the two of them.
She's fun. She's a funny chick.
Oh, God, she's awesome. But when Peggy Lipton was on Mod Squad, she was kind of like this hippie chick, you know, with this long blonde hair, and she was just cool as fuck. And she was the girlfriend you wanted when you grew up, you know? Yeah, because I think she's like in her upper 60s. You know, so when she was on Mod Squad, she's like 20 years old, and I'm like 13 or 14 at the time. You know, and I was just,
at any point, did she get out of a pool?
No, she was not that chick. She was like a
Catherine Ross is married to.
Oh, Catherine Ross.
Sam Elliott, sorry.
Oh, Stepford wife Catherine Ross. Yes.
Then Elaine.
And Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. She was Redford and Newman's girl in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Academy Award movie.
So hot. God damn.
Yeah.
There will never be another man.
I thought Paul Newman was hot.
He was his perfection. Even when he was 80 and like gaunt from cancer or whatever, you know, he was like, you were still more of a man than anyone else. I had a racing poster of him because he was an avid Formula One racer and was involved in racing. You know, he drove up until the time he was like 72 years old. And I have a picture of him standing next to a McLaren, and he's just got like this salt and pepper hair, and he just looks like the baddest motherfucker on earth. And my mom used to come into my room and just stare at it. Wistfully.
She's like, she'd always look at me and go, if your dad wasn't around, I'd go after that. I went, you can't get that. She goes, you don't think so, huh? I went, absolutely not. Sorry.
He was married to Joanne Woodward for 50 years or something.
And I told her that. I said, not because you're not good enough, Mom, but because he's deeply in love with his wife. They are soulmates. They will never leave each other. Go elsewhere for your jollies.
We've talked before about, with going with John Travolta and Tom Cruise, all the gay rumors.
Yeah.
You just hear them all the time, so where there's smoke, there's fire. For instance, and I used Brad Pitt until you found that magazine cover with the gay rumor about him, but you don't usually hear George Clooney. How's that? There's no gay rumors about George Clooney.
I've never believed Brad Pitt is gay. The fact that there's only one magazine with him is a testament to the man's heterosexuality. Because he just looks like he should have 500 gay rumors about him just because. Don't you think?
Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
Well, he when he was younger, definitely. Like Thelma and Louise.
Oh, yeah.
I was one of those females in Thelma and Louise. When he came on screen as the little cowboy with his shirt off, I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. What is that?
And we as guys looked at him and went, I never need to be in the same room as that motherfucker. Ever. And by same room, I mean same city, same area code. I don't need my chick near that.
See, now, you said that you started watching True Romance. And fell asleep, you bastard. You need to watch it from start to finish so you get the whole thing. But he's in it, and he's Floyd the Stoner, and all he does is lay on a couch and smoke pot anytime he's on screen, which is like 5 minutes total. But he's just Floyd the Stoner with his long hair.
He plays the coolest fucking roles. He always has a cool fucking role.
Yes.
Fight Club, just all of it, man. The guy just he and Clooney are amazing.
Him in the Ocean's movies. When he's wearing that shirt and George Clooney goes.
Which movies?
Ted Nugent called and wants his shirt
yeah.
back.
Yeah, and half those movies were fucking, ad-libbed.
They're just too cool. Too cool.
No, I mean, it's the respect level on how those two have handled their career is way, 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 way up there. They never, they never got caught, with their pants down, so to speak. Even Brad, when he left Jennifer for what's her name, it came out.
Skeletor.
It came out later that as soon as he met her, he told Jen, "I may be in trouble."
Right.
Because it's the right thing to do. It's like my mom used to say. She goes, "The worst thing in the world is not cheating on somebody. The worst thing in the world is disrespecting the person you're cheating on, and treating them like they're stupid." Right. She goes, "It's okay to meet somebody else and be a man about it. But don't do the behind the back thing, and don't treat them like they're stupid, when they're dead on right about you." She goes, don't do that. She goes, "That would disappoint me." And I went, "It would? Well, hold on, let me make a phone call." I'm just kidding. It was always fun to fuck with her when she gave me speeches. It was just, "It would? Yes. Hold on, I need to make a phone call."
Well, going back to my original point, you never heard any rumors about the human marriage. No. There was never any tabloid shit about him hooking up with some floozy on whichever movie he was filming at the time. He stayed scandal free.
And not only that, but on the same page, just in philosophy, in life, in just everything. The two of them were completely on the page, because people always said, Joanne Woodward's pretty, but Paul Newman can do better, and I always went, no, he can't.
That was the thing that always kind of endeared me, because she was pretty, but she wasn't like she was more girl next door, I guess. I don't know. She was
Joanne Woodward is wife material.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And he was smart enough to know it. I'm sure he got all the pussy he wanted before she came along. But in the end, when he met her, the story he would tell over and over and over again is he was done. The class, the intellect, the beauty, he goes, "I was done." Saying it only like Paul Newman could say it. "I was done. Done."
Even Paul Newman in Slapshot.
Oh, yeah. She's a lesbian. Lesbian. With his stick. She's a lesbian. I fell out of my fucking chair the first time I saw it. Yeah,
he was so hot, and young Robert Redford was beautiful too.
Oh,
he just didn't age well because he was natural blonde. We natural blondes don't age well.
He didn't, he didn't age well, but then again, he did. I mean, the pure intellectual power of him and his cool factor carried him through no problem in my eyes. I just, like in The Natural, it's just like, that's a bad motherfucker right there.
He was still hot there.
Yeah.
He was just beginning to show the signs of sun on his face.
Love that movie so much.
And I went and saw that in the movie theater with my dad, and my dad was just like, "That is the best movie I think I've ever seen."
Mm-hmm. I never cease to watch it if it comes. I don't care what part of the movie it's in.
Oh God, the music and like when he hits the ball and the lightning that comes off and it's making the explosions and it's hitting things
and the camera shot on the kid. When
you can't. Do you cry? I mean, as a man.
Oh God, yes, yeah, and it's getting worse as I get older. Because I now appreciate these moments where my young douchebag self is like, "Cry, fuck face, stop your crying, you little bitch." I'm ashamed of myself. Ashamed of myself, I really am. But that's the stuff you learn growing up. That's what becoming older and more refined is. And you chicks, your part of getting older and more refined is looking over and not having your vagina dry up because we're doing it.
In fact, that might be the thing to get things going.
Instead, you appreciate that we actually have a heart and a soul, maybe. Maybe. Not ready to give that up yet. But it's funny, man. Getting older when you notice those moments, because Terry was talking about it on the air one day about he goes, "What's going on with me? I'm like crying at movies now." And he said this like 10 years ago, and
because he's just a pussy.
And of course, we were all like, "You big pussy, yeah, you're so gay," but
because your Uncle Ernie touched you on the boat.
Yeah, but secretly, I was like, "Yeah, I do too." I do too.
And then the two of you tongue kissed. I love you, man.
He's on a T1 line, so I can't. But maybe I would have, Stacey. I don't know.
A little snoodlin'.
Snoodlin'. The fuck is that?
When two men rub the heads of their penises against each other lovingly.
Oh, that's actually a thing?
There's always a thing.
Or did you just make it up?
That
or
is a
snoodling your word. When I go, look at those two snoodling motherfuckers, not everybody in the room's going to know what I mean.
It depends on what people know. I was telling a friend the other day about, my joy of being in radio and like the total unpolitical correctness of radio and how it used to be, but now it's all corporate.
Not anymore, yeah. Well, I mean, there's nobody around to be inappropriate with anymore.
Sitting in a staff meeting where it's just the on-air people, an air staff meeting, and we're sitting there doing our thing, and the general manager Mike Thomas walks in, and he's got this big excited like smile on his face, and he's like, I know what a hot Carl is. Someone just told me what a hot Carl is.
Yeah.
And then he explained what a hot Carl was, and we're like, that's great, Mike. And from that moment on, that was actually his on-air nickname. Everyone just called him Hot Carl.
Hot Carl.
He's Ted now. He was the best general manager I ever worked for. Because he's also the only general manager I ever worked for who actually came from the air side.
Yeah,
so
which
he got
is a huge difference.
Yes, he understood, and he just was awesome. He actually, with his own money, one time, this was in the 90s, of course, Morphine was coming to Detroit, and he bought everyone on the air staff tickets to go see it, and we all went together as a radio station, just us, the employees, to see Morphine. It was great.
Yeah.
Except one person had to stay back and work.
Yeah, as always. But my general manager, our first big ratings book that I was in, quasi management. I don't know if a music director is management or not, but our program director, me, and the GM went out for dinner and then went back to his house and did a lot of cocaine that was laid out on the glass as 14.9. and I just thought I was home. You know, it's like this is the career for me right here. This is the shit. And you know, I'll never forget that moment. I'm still very close with both of those people. You know, and you know, it was just a cool moment because we took a huge chance in that book. That's when all the 80s music was coming out and people didn't know how to process it on rock stations or, you know, what mix to play or what to do with it, really.
You mean like the hairband stuff?
Well, no, even before that, like the Wall of Voodoo shit and
oh, okay, gotcha.
You know,
yeah.
Because the argument was, all right, do you kind of put this stuff in with the current mix or do you fucking go for it? Do you just put Led Zeppelin and Rolling Stones aside till this blows over? Because that's what it was like. It was like a F5 tornado. And right. I think everything was just getting lost. You know, so we made the decision. I will never forget it because we all went home after feeling good about our decision, and then we all went home, went to bed, and the next day we're in each other's office going, are we doing the right thing here?
Overthinking it, second guessing.
Yeah, I just heard Wild Horses on the way in, and boy, did it sound really good. We're really going to hand that over to somebody else, and we all looked at each other and went, "Yeah, we are."
So you opted for the hair bands?
No, this was before the hair bands. There was like a 2-year period where it was kind of more new wave and punky than it was. You know, the hair bands like hit. Well, I'll tell you exactly when it hit.
Quiet Riot was 1982.
Was when, yeah, I mean that was in there, but you know, and that was the start of it. But I mean, 85 was all hair bands. All, you know, all the time. This is, you know, there was Quiet Riot, and there was, you know, you held on to Van Halen and stuff like that, and you know, you played Guns N' Roses because you just had to, you know, because it was that good, you know. But really, it was like Mexican Radio, Wall of Voodoo, Dream Academy, you know, just all kinds of shit like that you never pictured yourself playing in a million fucking years. And
right.
we went for it, and we went from having a 6 share to a 14.9 and kept all our demos. I mean, it was such a powerful music shift that I equated it to a storm that instead of riding the storm out, we got in it.
See, now for the 90s, is similar to that because you're coming out of the hairband stuff, blissfully, you know, but then you're going into the Nirvanas, the Alice in Chains and stuff. But then you have like Pepper from the Butthole Surfers, you know, and it was probably very similar because it didn't really fit the rock station format at that point, but you had to play it, and it was fantastic.
Yeah,
you know,
but
it worked.
That's a bad example because that was just a great fucking record. But there's a lot of them like that were actual death to play. You know, even though they were good bands and good songs, they were holding you back. You know, right. From moving on. You know, so. It's funny. I can probably count 50 songs off the top of my head that we didn't play originally that are now staples in, you know, an oldies type situation. It was all about timing. It was all about timing and the vibe you chose for your radio station. And it wasn't even about the songs. It was more about that. It's like, okay, what are we deciding to do here? Are we going to be more rhythmic? Are we going to be rocking? Are we going to, you know, but it all crossed over and it all was getting played, you know, on the same video channel. And you really couldn't get hurt doing it, but you could really maximize if you chose a little niche in that to be in. And we got it right both times, luckily, you know, because it is a feel thing. It totally was. You know, it's just like trusting and knowing your radio station and what you're doing and going with it. It was awesome.
See, my boss Rick at Z93 in Saginaw, in the mid 90s, he was doing that. He had a consultant that he could talk to, but he was just playing it by ear. And I truly believe for that time period and that group of music that came out at that time, he had the ear for that. And, my favorite example of that, was him. He would fall asleep with the TV on. It was like USA Overnight, whatever that was.
Yes.
They show the movies and then have like videos in between, and he woke up to this song playing, a video playing, and he made note of the record company, in the corner and everything. And the next day he called them and said, I would really like to get this. And they're like, really? Are you kidding? Because, they didn't normally get the phone calls asking, for stuff to be played.
It's funny. It's kind of what it was like. It's like, hey, I'm gonna be with you on this one. What are you going to do for me? You were actually working them instead of them working you.
Right. And he got it and everything. And that was how Z93 in Saginaw, I always tell this story, was like literally the first radio station in the United States to play Come Out and Play by The Offspring.
Yeah.
It was like 6 months before the Toadies, Possum Kingdom. We played that 6 months as well before, and it petered out. It didn't do anything, so he shelved it. And then about 6 months later, it broke through, and then it became huge. And so we actually re-added it and started playing it again.
See, I don't know if you remember this, but it was huge for us. It was absolutely monstrous because we played it on the show. So, we have this vast audience that the rest of the station doesn't have. And we're playing, Terry was just head over heels for that song. So we were playing it in rejoiners. We were, and it was totally a one-hit wonder type deal. And then we went to Dallas, where they're from, and we had them on the air. And we're real excited about it. And the drummer was just a giant douchebag and was saying, you guys are like fucking Howard Stern wannabes. And
wow.
And I said, really, dude? We're on here like playing your record and giving you all kinds of accolades. Do you really think that's what we're all about? That's the sum of our whole product, that we're not, letting the audience know that Howard invented lesbians. and you could tell that the guitar player and singer dude was very annoyed with him, like, not this again, and I pulled him aside afterwards and I said, look, man, I don't care if you like the show or not. I said, but you really shouldn't go on shows that are playing your product and put that out there, just so you can
play the game, asshole.
Yeah, it's,
or even do the old, if you have nothing nice to say, just don't say anything. Sit silently rather than being a dumbass.
I said, because I just have to say this now that you've done this. I said, do you really think this is original, what you did? You think Possum Kingdom is original and nobody's ever done anything like it? Do I need to sit down and just spew name after name of greatness off that you fucking hijacked and ripped from?
You are 2 notches above better than Ezra good, so get over yourself.
Exactly what you are. You're right in between better than Ezra's good and U2's bad. That's where you are. And it was just like, I felt so bad for the rest of the band, and the guy even came over afterwards, and I don't even remember their names because that's how little I fucking cared. He's like, I'm really sorry. It's like, we can't get him to stop doing this. Every time we go to a market, everybody's ripping off Howard Stern, and I'm like, I said, listen, Howard's had quite the impact on our business, and he has given us the ability as radio shows to not have to be so careful. I said, but I want you to think about this because it really makes a lot of sense. We don't get to hear Howard. Ever.
Because we're on the air.
Yeah.
Sure.
And this is during a time where, there is no downloading and there is no, it's like you just didn't have time in your day for that. to even check it out for a few minutes.
Isn't that weird to think, like, my dad died in 1995, and my mom and I were talking about that the other day. He missed the internet. He had no idea.
Yeah.
His life ended. He never went online.
Isn't that crazy?
And it wasn't that long ago, really, but yet it was, So, yeah, when you were talking about all this in, like, 1995, there were no downloads. There was Napster at that point.
Right.
Where you could, get crappy recorded hissy versions of shit that people had recorded, and uploaded. But other than that, no.
Yeah. And it was such a sour experience for me. I just remember that because we loved the record so much.
Right.
And, here's somebody basically coming in and just disrespecting what you do, and, you're like number one in the market. Everybody's listening to you. I mean, we were even beating Howard at the time, at this point.
Right.
Which he goes, well, you're stealing from him to do it. And I said, yeah, I don't think it works like that. There's a little more to it than that. You're kind of insulting. And a nice blend of insulting and ignorant all at the same time. I said,
it's adorable.
Good drummer, though. Very good drummer. I mean, you're no, Buddy Rich or anything like that, but,
What has 7 arms and sucks?
Def Leppard. My favorite one was What Has 5 Arms and Likes to Eat Pussy, the drummer from Def Leppard and the Indigo Girls. First time I heard that joke, I was just like, oh my God, that's such genius. It's so out there for the taking, and nobody did it. Except for some guy somewhere that probably was drunk and high, and he goes, hey, guess what? Yeah, as he's watching Def Leppard on stage. I got a joke. Because all good jokes come from insensitivity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just what it is.
Yeah, but
that's why Jay Leno wasn't funny.
Yeah. And remains such. But nice guy.
Yes.
But I just that whole period of time there was so crazy because it was all about taking chances. Yet there were never more consultants, never more interference than at that time. Because remember that's when Clinton signed the telecom bill, was in the late 90s. When everybody started buying everybody. I had 7 401ks at one point. And
wow.
And all of them were formed within a month of being bought and sold, but that process was going a lot faster than the behind the scenes paperwork. So everybody had all these nightmarish retirement plan things going on. I think there's like one still sitting out there that has like $36 in it or something. It's just,
don't let Sandy know.
And at 2008, it went down to like $6. Yeah, it's like, oh my God.
Well, careful. It sounds like it's getting close to going back down again. So
yes. Well, I mean that's just kind of the thing. I don't care. There was never enough money in there to be worried about it. But you had all these things out there at the time. Yeah, of course, you paid attention to your main one that you always had and made sure it got transferred and everything. But everybody I know had some sort of garbage out there from having an owner for 5 minutes. It was nuts. I'm sure TV had to deal with it too.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, it was probably one of the most nutso times in our business than it's ever going to see. I just don't see it ever being in that area code again.
Right. It's very emotionless now, very not personal, impersonal, I guess. Radio. Yeah. I don't even listen. I don't know when the last time I listened to terrestrial radio. It's probably been 6 months, if not more.
Right. And everybody like got so done with it, they just trusted it and just kind of let it go because it was just too overwhelming to stay with it. And they're, everybody had that giant account that they had their whole career that they paid attention to, but those other tertiary ones that were just kind of sitting out there with $35, $85, $10. It's just like you didn't have time to sign the 15 pieces of paperwork. I even think they put a law in motion where you could just sign once and you gave the person handling the books at the station the ability to fix it for you without phone calls and visits and all that shit.
Now, that was why it ended up in every bigger market that, like, one person owned 4 FM stations and 2 AM stations, right?
Before that, you mean?
Well, whenever...
I mean, before...
It was in the 90s, where, it seemed like, Clear Channel had, like, in every market...
Oh, yeah.
They owned the maximum, and it was, I think, 4 FMs and 2 AMs.
No, you were allowed 2 of each, max.
How did like Cox have so many?
They bought them.
Because there was APE, there was Rock 105, then there was those 2, then there was 4 over in the other building.
Well, that was after the telecom bill. They did all that. That was like signed like mid 90s. But before that, you were allowed 2 of each. As a matter of fact, there was legislation like 3 years before that. Because you were only allowed to own 2, period.
That would make the most sense if you have an AM and FM, and then it gives. I mean, that just because once like in the late 90s, it was like everybody had their 4 FMs and 2 AMs, and it's just the same shit. And you go from city to city, and once upon a time, that was one of the. I can tell you, like in the 90s, when I moved from Michigan to Florida, I was so deeply disappointed in the music in Florida, and I realized, and I did not know at the time how truly special and lucky I was to like have been in music in the radio business in the 90s in Michigan, because you had Detroit, and then Doug Podell, who was the legendary program director of the Riff in Detroit. He was asked by R&R once upon a time, outside of the Riff, what is your favorite radio station? And he said Z93 in Saginaw. That's what I listen to when I'm traveling. And we had great music. It was we did the 90s right. It was fantastic.
Well, Michigan was just an amazing fucking rock state, I remember driving through Toledo, through Detroit. Then I had to go my ultimate destination, I think, was Chicago. But all the way through was fucking amazing.
Yes.
I mean, the vibe of the radio stations, even the weekend guys that are like 18, 19 years old sound like they're 40 and divorced, just I mean, that is the rock and roll state. There's no question about it.
When I was moving back up here with Jeff, when I still had a husband, I was telling him, because he'd never been to Michigan, and I was like, you're gonna shit yourself. The music, the radio, and it's been 7 years since I've listened to radio in Michigan, but you are gonna shit yourself. And he was like, oh my God. This is like rock. It's they're playing metal. It's oh my God. He was just so happy.
Yeah.
It was like just head and tails different from Florida to Michigan, the music and the radio and stuff.
That drive went so fast, it just through that state, compared to some of the others, even heading back, it was awesome. On like a Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, it was still fucking good, better than most everywhere else. And then it just got worse and worse as you headed towards the East Coast. And
now we have Greta Van Fleet, my mother, who's in her 70s.
Who
actually,
I'm done with.
Are you really? Why?
Well, I don't know why, other than I saw them live and was just sad at the lack of feel that the band had for its audience, for its clothing, for the room in general. I don't think they were taught that. And when I mean taught, I don't think somebody pulled them aside and said, this is where you don't fucking listen to anybody and you be yourself. Because the clothing, was just douche to the max, and the choreographed attitude with the guitars, the sling in the neck thing and all that, circa late 70s cheap trick shit, I was disappointed.
Well,
and I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be. I should be okay with it, except I don't want them fucking themselves up. And
well, then talk to them.
Well,
I probably bet you nobody has. I think they are probably just barely keeping themselves above water.
Well,
honestly.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I can ascertain just looking at them, and I was paying very close attention before the show started. I saw them at House of Blues here, and they are very attended to, but they are attended to by two different parties. There's dad attended to, and there's label guy attended to. And the label guy part needs to be in full swing at this juncture.
Right.
Agreed? It's kind of over the dad's head at this point. No?
They are, because they're from Frankenmuth. It is like 20 minutes away from me.
Right.
I could be there and call you from Frankenmuth in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
It's rural. Frankenmuth is a tourist trap. It is like little Bavaria, so it's like this little German town in Michigan. But it's still pretty rural. You step outside and you're in a cornfield. For what they are experiencing. This is, I'm sure nothing that they ever guessed or dreamed was going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to cut them some slack because there's nobody like them right now.
That's probably the issue, though.
And it is a little bit of the issue.
They don't know what to do with them.
I haven't seen a band in a long time, where I just give them to me for 3 hours, please.
Right. You should do it.
Well, they don't know me from Adam. They don't give a. They're so far beyond me. They're on the rocket ship at this point. It's left the surface and it's on its way into space to either crash into another planet or become universally accepted. It's just where it is. But you can see the push and pull, like the clothing. You can tell that it's a bad blend of the label telling them to dress hipper and mom making those clothes for them. It's kind of my take on it, Right. And I went and saw it with my doctor, who used to play in a band when he was young before medical school and all that. A good band. So he's been on this ride before, and he says, I don't need to tell you how push and pulled this band is at this juncture. I said, no, you don't. I know. I just don't know who it is doing it and what the severity of it is, but I just want to pull them aside and go, don't worry, stick with this, and these people will be gone soon.
Right.
Because they will.
Well, I have to assume they're what, early 20s? I haven't really paid that much attention.
They're not even that. I think they are 20, and some of them are 19. I mean, they're
kids.
When
they're babies.
Yeah, when that thing came out, that first song, I don't know why I can never remember the title of it. What is that song?
No idea.
It was their first hit.
Right.
The one that sounds just like Led Zeppelin.
Yes.
More so like Led Zeppelin than the rest of them.
I was going to say, aren't they all?
Yeah. But, I mean, they were, one of them or two of them were still in fucking school when that came out. They are so green it scares me. And now,
well, think back to like Kenny Wayne Shepherd and Silverchair.
Yes. Who didn't stick around long. They didn't.
He married like Mel Gibson's daughter.
I don't know. I don't know anything about the Silverchair dude. I just know it went away. Never came back.
I know, and that was a good song.
It was an unbelievable song.
It was so 90s. Everything was just so 90s. I've been watching Friends. I've been very nostalgic for the 90s.
Well, I mean, I still tell Samantha that I'm not sure the 90s aren't better than the 70s. And I never thought I'd say that about another decade of music, being even close. But for my taste and my preference, I think I like the 90s better. I do.
You realize coming up this fall with the new TV season and everything, it'll be 25 years since the premiere of Friends.
I know.
Do you know how depressing that is? Like
yes,
Ross's baby, Ben, who was born that first season, would be out of college now and out.
I know.
How depressing.
It's fucking insane. How quick that went by. We're on our second run of Will and Grace. It's crazy. and I just can't process it all sometimes, but I will say this. That decade of music, for where my life was and the fact that I got to be a part of that in the beginning of breaking those bands, it kind of pushes it over the top for me.
Being in my 20s then and stuff with the music, for me in radio, it was all about the music. It was being able to say non-ironically, here's the new one from Nirvana, and we could only play it it was so new that it was you weren't allowed to play it until after 5 p.m.
Right.
That day kind of thing. Because for people who don't know, when these records were getting released and stuff, there was a date, a time. You could not play this prior or you would get in deep shit with the record companies.
Which is just ludicrous. I mean, it blows my mind how fucking babyish all that was. Like people's ears change at 7 p.m. at night. You can only play that record at night. It's too hard to play in the afternoon. It's like, what are you talking about?
See, now when I did overnights at Rock 105 in Jacksonville, I knew that David was never listening. I mean, he was asleep. He wasn't one of those PDs who got up at 3 a.m. to see what you were doing and screw with you, And so the live Black Sabbath had come out. Remember that? Yeah. That would have been late 90s and stuff. And there's a lot of swearing in that.
With the original members.
Overnight and stuff. And what's going on with Ozzy? Is he sick?
He is sick of some sort of pneumonia, which at his age is no laughing matter.
Right.
And let's face it, what he's done to his lungs over the years can't be repaired.
I didn't know anything was going on, and a friend the last time I checked Facebook was just saying, I don't feel good about this. This just bothers me,
Yeah, and rightly so. I mean, it's tough to watch a guy like Ozzy circling the drain.
Do you think he is?
It's like I've learned not to count him out.
Him and Keith Richards.
Yeah, but even Keith takes better care of himself than Ozzy does.
Ozzy, I think at this point is just like a toddler, and Sharon is keeping him alive with just her sheer will.
Yes, I think so too.
And bless her, I mean, for whatever you think of her, and I realize she's very annoying at times and stuff, but she has given her life to that man.
Oh God, are you kidding me?
It's a love story, not like a fairy tale love story, but there's a big fat love story right there.
I hate when people run over her. I mean, Terry fucking hates her. He just with every fiber of his being. But we're all very quick to point out, no Sharon, no Ozzy, bro.
Right.
Doesn't happen.
That's true.
Because she resuscitated not only him many times, but his career even more times.
Right.
I mean, probably one of the greatest band managers and marketing people there's ever been. And her dad was in the business. This is a seasoned, professional with the gift to promote and get things done. She is no laughing matter at all.
Right.
She's the real deal.
And, bless him, because back when they got married and stuff, she was chubby. She was certainly not, the groupie, what you think of, that Ozzy probably could have ended up with.
Right.
I mean, they probably both would have been dead within a year of like heroin OD or something. But, he handed himself over to her, and I respect that.
Yeah. Although I think it's been a struggle back and forth between the two of them in the last decade or so.
Yeah, because didn't she move up for a while? Cheated or was thinking, I don't know. There was like the hairdresser thing.
I don't know. I wasn't that involved in it like I was at earlier parts of the career, but back in the Randy Rhoads thing,
to me, like I actually thought at the time, like this seemed almost fabricated.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like something to get them in the news.
And it's not beyond her to do that.
Exactly.
But at the same time, when the Randy Rhoads shit was going down, he died, and all of a sudden his brilliant songwriter, guitar player guy's gone, and they're back at square one.
Way to go, Florida.
Yeah. Way to go, helicopter repairman. Or airplane repairman, or whatever the fuck you want.
Airplane.
Yeah, Steve Ray Vaughan's helicopter, sorry. And I got to get my rock deaths.
Stevie Ray Vaughan and who else? It was just this past week was the anniversary of like the Big Bopper and Richie Valens and the day the music died.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Solemn day. Very solemn, sad day.
There was, we're just going off on a bazillion tangents. This is like a 3-hour podcast. The Big Bopper's son, this was like back within like 10 years ago or something. There was like some sort of special about it because he just found out that he was like his son, like he didn't know or something. And so they dug up the Big
Bopper.
Well, they dug him up, and this has been how many years? This has been a long time.
Yeah.
And they open up the casket because this guy wants to see his dad. And I'm thinking, I love my dad very much. I don't want the trauma of seeing him whatever state he would be in. So they open up the casket, and he's not decomposed.
Oh.
Like he was good enough that they could stand there and look at him for a while. What?
That big, huh?
And so now I'm like, is like, I assumed with embalming that people stick around, but then I hear that they don't. And so, again, my dad, it's been 24 years. I have to assume that he's just skeletal at this point, I would think. I don't know. But the Big Bopper had been dead like 50 years, I think, and was in a plane crash and was still good enough that they could look at him.
Wow.
So then I have to wonder, because like the Catholic Church, if you don't decompose, that means you're a saint.
Okay.
That's one of the signs of sainthood-iness.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Which should tell you something about my religious background.
Bastard.
I don't have one. Thank God.
But see, now I can remember when Pope John Paul died. And they had
one or two.
The more recent one.
Yes.
The first Pope, John Paul, was like Pope for 6 days or something.
I think so, yeah.
And then our Pope, the Reagan and Margaret Thatcher Pope, when he passed away, they had him laid out there at the Vatican and stuff, and I guess he wasn't embalmed, but I guess he was starting to get gamey. They had like flowers all over and candles burning to hide the smell of him. And it's like, why? Why are you people doing this? Just bury him,
I felt bad and good for him at the same time that, he didn't have to go through all the bullshit, of dressing up every day and undressing in that immaculate clothing and all that stuff. He only had to do it 6 days and to get immortalized.
Do you remember him like when he was giving mass and he drooled because he was just like hunched over, and he was so hunched over and he had drool just like rolling out of his mouth, and it's like, get the camera back. This has nothing to do with even him being a pope. He's just an old man. You don't need to be showing a billion people that he's drooling.
I'm sorry.
I would be mad if they did that to you, Lex. I would say, hey, stop it.
I know, and I appreciate that very much. But it's okay. You know, in the other side of that beautiful brain of yours that I'm laughing watching this.
I'd be sending you texts going,
yeah.
Might want to dab at that.
Dab at what? I don't give a fuck. I can't even see my Bible. I have so much water on it at this point. I'm just up here going, God, did you finally crack a smile? Can I go now? So awful.
Hell.
Yeah. Lex called. He didn't need to. Got him on the list. Got bad news for you. You're on it too.
No.
Yes, Stacey. Special request by the man himself. Is there anybody you want to bring with you? Yep, same person you want to bring.
I may as well start making a list.
But you pointed it out earlier. You're probably right. We've probably let this go way too far. We've gone from, around the United States twice and back to Michigan.
Hello, Canada.
Yeah. So we probably should save some of this incredible content for other podcasts.
Narky. This is us just talking. We started a little pissy with each other because Lex kept calling my cell phone. He had said, I'll be there in 15 minutes so we can start recording. And I texted back and said, okay. And then he kept calling. And every time I would stop what I was doing to answer the phone, and Lex wouldn't be there.
Yeah, it was weird. Because you weren't there either. I'm like, Jesus Christ, we just texted, bitch.
I know. I was swearing at you, going,
yeah, I was swearing at you too. It's like, you were just there.
What the fuck, man? Yeah. I just want to go make coffee.
I know. I'm like, I just want to have a little 5-minute discussion about what we're going to talk about. But anyway, it all got worked out. But
I think after 20 years, the honeymoon's over.
We're good. We're just moving to a different level is all. Don't sweat
the crotchety curmudgeon phase of the relationship. You get off my lawn, Lex.
Oh, I will. After I burn it down.
Well, while you're doing that, why don't you put your cat out of its misery, too?
I really should, but...
You should.
He's having such a good time doing it himself. I just don't have the heart to do it. He's like what we were just talking about 10 minutes ago. He's up there doing little cat texts.
He's drooling. Just drooling.
But I didn't realize what time it was. I do need to run.
Okie dokie.
So we will hook up for 147. I'll get this posted so the very people that are listening right now will realize, hey, he got it posted. And
there's another one that Lex might retrieve, and if we do, then it will be older and it will be out of order, but at least you'll have something.
Or we can just bring it up next time, because it really is a endless. I mean, that piece of subject matter will be there forever and ever, because it already has been. But
which piece?
The piece about misogynistic men.
Oh, yes.
And the commercials that get made about them.
Oh, that was the whole Gillette commercial podcast?
It was.
That was a good one,
It was.
too.
Yeah, it's the only one. But we, I will save it. I will. But for the time being, it is stuck on a disc that a guy's going to pull it off of there for me and send it to me. So.
By drone.
But, we're dragging this out. I got to go.
All right, bye.
Bye, Stacey.